Good morning, students. Good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are watching us from. My name is John, your online biology teacher. Kindly, if you are not subscribed to our channel, you can subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. So today, we are going to look about the menstrual cycle. We are going to look about the menstrual cycle, or the hormones that are involved in the menstrual cycle. And one thing you should know is that the menstrual cycle involves the ovaries or the ovarian cycle, the uterus or the uterine cycle, and it involves hormones that are released by the ovaries and which are in turn regulated by the pituitary gland, just before the cycle. Ladies may experience nausea, back pain, and headaches, and so on. So before the cycle begins, the cycle begins with dislodge. The cycle begins with dislodge of blood from tissue debris from the uterus. The cycle begins with a dislodge of blood from tissue debris from the uterus, and this is what we know as the menses. This is what we known as the menses. So after menstruation, the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland secretes the follicle stimulating hormone. Just after the menstruation, the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland secretes the follicle stimulating hormone, which has got two effects. The follicle stimulating hormone has got two effects. In one, it causes the development of the Graafian follicles. It causes the development of the Graafian follicle, and it stimulates the tissue of the ovary to release estrogen. All right. The first effect is that it causes the development of the Graafian follicle. And another one, it stimulates the tissues of the ovaries to release another hormone known as the estrogen. Estrogen brings about repair. And healing of the endometrium. Estrogen brings about healing and repair of the endometrium, which has been destroyed during menstruation. So estrogen accumulates to levels. That triggers the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland to release another hormone known as the luteinizing hormone. All right. We have said that estrogen has got two effects, in that it brings about repair and healing of the endometrium, which has been destroyed during menstruation. Another one, it accumulates to levels which triggers the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland to release another hormone known as the luteinizing hormone. All right. It triggers, or it stimulates the tissues of the ovary. It accumulates to levels that triggers the pituitary gland to release another hormone known as the luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone brings about maturation. This luteinizing hormone brings about maturation of the Graafian follicle. The luteinizing hormone brings about The luteinizing hormone brings about maturation of the Graafian follicle. Now the Graafian follicles have been developed. They have matured. All right. So the mature Graafian follicle releases an ovum. The mature Graafian follicle releases an ovum in the funnel of the fallopian tube. All right. The mature Graafian follicle releases an ovum in the funnel of the fallopian tube, and this is what we know as ovulation. This is what we call ovulation, and this is the point at which many ladies normally mess up if they are not sure, or if they are not keen during intercourse. All right. So now after the Graafian follicles has released an ovum, it changes to a yellow body substance. It changes to a yellow body substance known as the corpus luteum. It changes to a yellow body substance known as the corpus luteum. All right. So after the Graafian follicle, after the mature Graafian follicle has released an ovum to the funnel of the fallopian tube, of which we have described that as ovulation, it changes to a yellow body substance known as the corpus luteum. All right. Now, the luteinizing hormone stimulates the corpus luteum to release another hormone known as progesterone. All right. The luteinizing hormone, this one, it stimulates the corpus luteum to release progesterone, to release another hormone known as the progesterone. All right. And this progesterone hormone, it brings about the thickening. It brings about the thickening of the endometrium. It brings about thickening of endometrium and blood supply. Into the endometrium. All right. We have said that after the mature Graafian follicle has released an ovum in the funnel of the fallopian tube, of which we have said that is ovulation, that normally happens on date 14, constant date 14, it changes to a yellow body substance known as the corpus luteum. Now, the luteinizing hormone stimulates the corpus luteum to release another useful hormone known as the progesterone. All right. Now, the progesterone brings about thickening and blood supply to the endometrium. All right. The progesterone brings about thickening and increased blood supply to the endometrium. This now prepares for the implantation of the blastocyte. Implantation of the blastocyte. All right. This prepares implantation of the blastocyte. If fertilization takes place, all right. If fertilization takes place, the level of progesterone increases. If fertilization takes place, the level of the progesterone increases, and this inhibits the follicle stimulating hormone from causing the development of another Graafian follicle. All right. If fertilization takes place, the level of progesterone increases. The level of the progesterone increases, and this inhibits the follicle stimulating hormone from facilitating the development of another Graafian follicle. That is when fertilization takes place. If fertilization fails, the corpus luteum degenerates. All right, the corpus luteum degenerates, and this leads to a drop of the progesterone. All right, and this leads to a drop of the progesterone. All right, now the endometrium sheds. And the cycle begins again. All right, and the cycle repeats itself. All right, are we together up to that point? I've said if fertilization fails, the corpus luteum degenerates. The level of progesterone decreases. And you understand that a slight drop in progesterone will lead to the shedding of the uterus, and the cycle is repeated. All right, we have said that the menstrual cycle involves the ovaries or the ovarian cycle, and the uterus or the uterine cycle. And we have said that it begins with dislodge of blood from tissue debris. All right, dislodge of blood from tissue debris, and ladies experience nausea, back pain, and those kind of stuff. And that dislodge of blood is what we known as the menses. And we have said after menstruation, the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland releases the follicle stimulating hormone. All right, releases the follicle stimulating hormone, which has got two effects. In that, it leads to the development of the Graafian follicle. And another one, it stimulates the tissues of the ovary to release another hormone known as the estrogen. All right, now estrogen has got also two effects. In that, it brings about repair and healing of the endometrium, which has been destroyed during menstruation. It brings about repair and healing of the endometrium, which has been destroyed during the menstruation. All right, we have said that estrogen accumulates to levels that trigger the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland to release another useful hormone known as the luteinizing hormone. All right, we have also said that estrogen accumulates to level that triggers the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland to release the luteinizing hormone. Now, the luteinizing hormone brings about maturation of the Graafian follicle. All right, so follicle stimulating hormone causes the development of the Graafian follicle, but the luteinizing hormone brings about maturation of the Graafian follicle. We have said that the mature Graafian follicle, the mature Graafian follicle releases an ovum in the funnel of the fallopian tube, and this is what we now call as ovulation. All right, known as ovulation. Now, after the Graafian follicle has released that ovum, it changes to a yellow body substance known as the corpus luteum. All right, after the mature Graafian follicle has released an ovum, it changes to a yellow body substance known as the corpus luteum. Okay, now the luteinizing hormone stimulates the corpus luteum to release progesterone. The luteinizing hormone stimulates the corpus luteum to release progesterone. All right, now this progesterone brings about thickening and increased blood supply to the endometrium. It brings about thickening and increased blood supply to the endometrium, and this prepares the implantation of the blastocyte, and this prepares for the implantation of the blastocyte. If fertilization takes place, If fertilization takes place, the level of progesterone increases, and this inhibit the follicle stimulating hormone, from facilitating the development of another Graafian follicle. All right. If fertilization takes place, the level of progesterone increases, and this inhibits the follicle stimulating hormone from facilitating the development of another Graafian follicle. All right. If fertilization fails, the corpus luteum degenerates. All right. The copper luteum degenerates, and this will lead to a slight drop. This will lead to a reduction of the progesterone. All right. This will lead to a reduction of the progesterone. So the uterus will start to shed, and the cycle will be repeated. All right. I hope we are clear up to that end. Thank you so much for watching. You can comment below on which essay you will want us to see next, to look about it next. Thank you so much. God bless you.